Thanks so much for joining us today on the CX podcast from Ishmael Interactive. I'm Anna Monroe, the director of Ishmael Interactive. I'm joined today. It's a really, really special pod with my former teammates, Bahati Hart and Aaron Myers. You'll recognize Aaron from the weekly pod. And a very important facilitator, Alan Brulette, former chief of staff of 18F, Agile Scrum Master, taught me everything I know basically about great Agile practices. He's going to facilitate for us today a coming together and a reflection on what's happened to this team. We were the service design and enterprise and digital experience team in GSA until March. We built a great program, and I'm so proud of it. And it was really important to me that we get to share our experience. We get to talk to each other about where we're going now, what we regret from the past, what we're not going to be able to do, because those things are real, and the audience deserves to hear them. So thanks for joining us here today for this really, really special kind of retrospective on this team and where this podcast came from. And from that, I will send it to you, Ellen.
Absolutely. And you didn't mention that you and I are also technically former teammates, though just a little further back and not for anywhere near as long as I would have liked. But you have 18F cred. And now I understand why I kind of recognize these names. If we're all GSA from way back, I also was there until the very last day of February. All right, I'm going to repeat what we just discussed off the air as the process for this reflection, and then we will be off to the races. I have some prompts that the team has provided me. I've got them in front of me. We're going to go around the horn. The first section is the things we're just going to say and leave there, get it off our chests, and then we will move on to some reviews of what has happened so far, and then everyone's hopes for the future. Everybody is cool with that?
Yes.
All right, here we go. We will start with Bahati. And Bahati, I'm saying that correctly, yes?
Yes. It's like better with a in the middle. So you can emphasize the ha.
Bahati. All right, I gotcha. I like that. Thank you, Bahati. I'm very hard of hearing, so please correct me if I start to get it wrong. Here we go. Bahati, what was the progression of your feelings January, February, and March?
Oh gosh. Okay. If I had to describe it, I want to use Marvel movie descriptions because I'm a Marvel fan. So I would say because it was January, I would call it Winter Soldier. Like I was girded for battle because I've been in organizations that have done things like this, rapid transition and just kind of like coming in and obliterating things and starting from scratch. February, I would say felt a little bit more frustrating. So maybe like Ant-Man and like Quantumania. You're like, what the hell's going on here? And then March, if I'm being honest, there was a little rage there. There was a little fire in me because of the way we were notified of our transition. And I'll be very specific. My email said, first line, we regret to inform you your position has been abolished. So that triggered my ancestors a little bit. So I'm going to call that one Black Panther Wakanda Forever.
Wow.
I like that. As someone who described his role early in the in the whole eventuality as Doctor Strange, brute forcing a million scenarios and trying to find one in which we won. I'm with you. Aaron, the same question. How did your feelings progress January to March?
Geez. I would say I'm gonna back up to November because I kind of when I hear the new administration is coming in, I'm always a prepare for the worst person. I was Anna's project manager. I am a project manager by trade. You prepare for things to hit the fan. So that happened in November. January starts coming through and they start asking questions, and it's just, here we go. Okay, it's coming. So by the time March hits, it's not really a surprise. And I just try to tell myself, you can be mad at the weather, but if you argue with it, you're just wasting your time. So by the time March hit, I'm just trying to double down on what is the next thing.
Totally. Ms. Monroe, to you, how did this progression roll January, February, March?
Yeah. I want to preface this with I didn't share these questions with everyone beforehand. Like I have some access, but nobody read this. So I'm um yeah, so this is truly very honest. So January, I was appalled. I was sort of like pearl clutching and like just the the way we were being treated, as Bahati said, was really surprising to me. February, I was really doing what I could for the team. I was the program manager, and I was doing what I could to give leadership every example of the justification for our team. We made $11 million for the agency. We got 100 on our GAO audit from 2024, put GSA at the top of that list. We reduced the digital footprint by 37%. All the stats that I could pull, I gave to leadership in every way I possibly could. And we're talking all the leadership. I think at one point I emailed Aaron Helm, who was like the head of HRM, human resources, with these numbers. And then by March, and I called you the day, Alan, the day that we left, March 14th, I called you, if I remember, and I said, um, I had never felt so much like, like Jake Blues from the Blues Brothers in the opening scene of the original Blues Brothers movie when he gets dragged through Joliet prison and then he gets released into the dirt road. I was like, "It's a good day when you get out of jail." That's how I felt the final day at GSA. I was like, "You know what? We're finally going, and it's okay with me. I am on a street, and my brother has picked me up in a police car, and I do not care because it's a good day when you get out of prison." And that's how I felt. Yeah.
I like that. And I do remember you calling me that day. I think we talked every day for the next 3, in fact. Aaron, how was the summer? Everything from March to now.
It's an exercise in trying to stay busy. A still mind and free hands is the enemy. So I try to look at the flexibility I have to learn new things, chase down everything I ever wanted to learn. And every once in a while I'll ring Anna up and say, "Hey, look what I could do in Python now." Or check out this new thing. That part's fun. I enjoy that. Uh, but there's always that background of anxiety because you still got to feed the family, still got to find something. Um, so you can never really shake that ticking clock of you got to have something by right now.
Bahati, same question. March through today. How you feeling?
Feel fantastic, honestly. And I really struggle with bragging about this, but I'm gonna brag because I've earned the bragging rights. I'm a life coach, and I'm a very innovative and transformational life coach. I use agile practices in my life coaching too, because I want to get in and get out just like everyone else. And so I turned inward, I turned my skill set on myself, and I became a builder and a designer of things. I wrote my memoir of my enlightenment journey over the last 9 years of me questioning everything. I designed a new coaching framework and a digital doppelganger that I call Betty, becoming empowered through intelligence. So I was really tapping in because at the end of March, right after, so I think we were like go like around March 14th or 15th. Um, 2 weeks later, I was flat on my back for 6 weeks with back surgery, looking up at the ceiling, and I was like, "What would Frida Kahlo do?" And I was like, "She's a creator, she's an artist, and she's my inspiration." And so I found inspiration within myself, and I'm putting it out in the world.
2 for 2, Ms. Monroe. The summer to now.
The summer. So, I have in more than one occasion been sent a GIF of a bulldozer rolling like part of a mountain essentially in front of it, from someone who's like, "This is what it feels like to talk about work with you." Like, I'm always like, "Here's my work," and I'm always too much, and I've done too much, and I'm like, I'm too much. And this summer was mostly that, right? I failed fast on a couple of things, including sort of parts about Ishmael Interactive, and I started building the CX podcast with Aaron. And the CS podcast has taken off, and I'm super proud of that. Speaking of idle hands being the enemy, Aaron and I stay super busy because every one of these podcasts takes a lot of production, right? And usually the producer background, and we provide like an accompanying article, and we do like team meetings about it and things like that, and really trying to grow this audience and make sure that just because we're not in GSA, federal government anymore, the learning does not stop and the sharing doesn't stop and we're building a new audience. But I have to say, July was tough. And that's because July is when my family goes on vacation. We took the entire month of July always, and we visit both the grandparents, and then we take a little vacation for ourselves. And there was a day in July, and I was in New York City when I was crossing like some street on Broadway, and a cop wanted to turn right onto the street before the light changed. So no right on. There's no red on red in New York. Um, and they got on their like giant car microphone and they screamed at the people in this crosswalk there to get out of the way. And even though the people in the crosswalk had the light, right? That's what we had. And I burst in tears because to see a civil servant who is lucky enough to still get to serve treat people that way just was overwhelming to me. And I got on the subway and I cried from the Upper West Side to Park Slope, which is really far. It's Grand Army Plaza. That's a far. Luckily, everyone cries on the subway in New York, so no one cared. And I knew that it was fine, but yeah, it was just. And then my friend who was an ex-Fed, she was at OPM, came to visit me, and we just walked and talked. We just walked those New York streets and talked about it, and she came all the way back up to the Upper West Side with me, and, it was really hard. It was hard to realize that, like, this thing that I worked so hard for, this team that I had built, this program around service design that, to my knowledge, was the only one dedicated to service design at an enterprise level in the federal government. It was over now. But, you wake up the next morning, and you keep going, and you make a podcast, and you end up here with friends. Yeah.
Let me just jump back to the very first thing you said, because for those viewers at home, I'm not sure we could tell if the bulldozer gif arrived as, gosh, are you a force of nature, lady? Or, hey, lighten up, Francis. Not what was it, a compliment when that came in?
I think it's both at the same time. I think I'm deeply irritating in a lot of ways with the volume of work. Um, but the work is usually useful.
Anna, we'll come right straight back to you. How did the past 6 months affect all your other relationships? Parent, partner, friend, cat person. Spike, knock it off. We're on the phone.
Cat named Spike is cool.
Um, yeah, it was tough. It's been tough in my household. I got two small kids, and you got to hold it together for them. But it's been hard, It's been really, really tough. I think that staying away from the news is always very helpful, but it's also when people like the people in this Zoom room decide to do something, we tend to decide to do it completely. And to have that completely just told to you, being like, that's, you're no longer needed. You're dismissed, minion, which is essentially the message we got. Um, it affects you, like, and I came to realize that resilience is not never being in trouble, which is kind of how I always defined it. Resilience is having relationships to turn to when you need them who can absorb that. And I learned that in the last 6 months. That's what I learned.
Bahati, how did the past 6 months affect all your other relationships?
Well, I ran right to my therapist, Alan. And because, many agencies were being impacted, and I have many friends and family in different agencies, and I couldn't really turn to them because they were putting out their own fires. And I knew that I had a backup plan per se financially. And so I still wanted that support, right? A little bit of empathy, like, how are you feeling about this? Can we just like rage and complain a little bit? So I went to my therapist because everyone was, dealing with their stuff. And I told my therapist, I just feel so lonely because no one's like checking on me and blah, blah, blah. And forgive my French, he was like, I have a gay therapist. He was like, well, bitch, because you're perfect. You present yourself as perfect all the time and you're always checking on people, but you never tell anyone what you need. So why would they check on you? And that was the jerk, like the shirt grab that I needed to realize, like, my family is all I need. And they're the ones that know what's going on. They're the ones that are going to hold it steady while I'm trying to figure out how to swim in this different space. But we've been here before because we're a military family. So it wasn't unfamiliar terrain, but it felt different because I knew that I chose the option to retire and I was not coming back. So all I had was the option to move forward, but I'd never done that without parameters. So my family's been great. I've actually made new friends. My youngest friend is 3 years old, my little neighbor. And they just remind me like life is gonna go on. This sucks. This too shall pass. There's nothing new under the sun. And find a place to play and just be present and find your happiness and your joy when people try to steal it from you. So to me, that's like the other side of resilience is what does it look like when you're finding peace and joy? And I'm finding it.
Thank you. We all, I think, speak excellent French here, so please feel free and don't apologize. Aaron,
Well, it's stressful. Things are hard. Let's be fully honest and give the full spectrum of experience here. Uh, at the beginning, it's an incredible struggle because you're not going into the office, but you're replacing that with reskilling. You're replacing that with trying to build a new business and a new income. And in many ways and many times, you're putting more time in than you were going to the office. I'm more busy now with more hours spent, but because it's not bringing in as much cash yet, um, my spouse is doing some freelance work, which means I have to pick up for extra kid care duties and extra around the house duties to make up for that. So you really learn to prioritize. You learn that sort of you got to keep your hair down. I'm going to relax here moments untouched, but limited and targeted. And if you have to drop something, like a regular meeting or a coffee you used to have with a friend, you just got to be blunt and straightforward. You tell them, listen, I'm going through a thing right now. I don't think I'm going to have time for the next 3 months. And I find that while that's a hard discussion to give, nobody I know has really not understood where I'm coming from in those situations where I've had to have that talk.
we have two more questions for this section, and I'm going to make it three, and we're going to lightning round them. One sentence answers each, please.
Okay.
What is something you were looking forward to that you have not been able to do? Anna.
Oh, I was on the AI safety team, and the day we left, we were dropped, March 14th. I was supposed to give the first agency-wide training that I'd researched and designed for using LLMs at work. The first one, and I will never know how that is gonna turn out, and it's very annoying.
Aaron, something you were looking forward to doing that you haven't been able to do?
On the job, what I was looking forward to doing was helping to rewrite the proposal process. I had this really slick idea I wanted to roll in, which was we don't propose websites anymore. We propose content and we check and we see if there's an existing site. And if there's not, then you get to have a new one. Thought it would have been great. Tons of efficiency, tons of savings. Good ideas have long shelf lives. Maybe it'll come back.
A hobby, something you've been looking forward to you didn't get to do.
Looking forward to seeing the completion of this process project that I was working on, which was decommissioning websites, these kind of like dead end sites or antiquated sites. And we were looking at building more of a streamlined system. And then, real
That was
quick,
It was going so well. Oh
it
my
was,
god. That one makes me sad.
yeah.
All right, now we're going to turn this coin over. What is something you didn't know you were going to get to do that you have been able to do because of what happened? We'll just come right back to the hottie first.
At GSA or just in general?
Something you got to do. I'm willing to gate it to professionally, but something you got to do
Yeah, well,
on this little bit already.
Well, I'll say two things, right? Well, it's one and the same. So something I got to do at GSA was coach. They had a coaching cadre, which was really amazing. It was like over 50 coaches. And so now I've turned that into my full-time job. So it kind of worked out.
Aaron.
I'll give a personal and a professional. So, personal, I have a nonverbal autistic 4-year-old son, and I got to dedicate time to teaching him how to talk with hand signs. And now he's up to about half a dozen words. Makes everything worth it. Professional, I learned coding. The Ishmael interactive process, there's no way of learning like running yourself into a problem. And we were going to sam.gov to look at federal opportunities. And I said, this takes too long. So I built enough code to 10x our search speed. Just get way up there, way faster. Would have never had that assignment in a million years in GSA. But now I got a fun toy.
Anna, something you got to do that you otherwise wouldn't.
Oh God, I got to build Ishmael Interactive. I fucking love running businesses. Like I was my own boss for 12 years before I came to federal service. Love being a civil servant. But yeah, I'm really loving that. I get to build a business again. That's fun.
One more lightning round question in honor of this being the section that now we're going to let go once we're done with it. What is something you feared would happen that has not? Aaron first.
Oh, that's a toughie. There's so many things to pick from. I think the biggest thing I feared would happen that has not is just not being able to recover from setbacks. I did, like I said before, I disaster plan. Oh my God, what happens if this happens? What happens if that happens? What happens if this doesn't come through? I haven't run out of pivots and other things to do and ways to recover. Not recovering is the big fear that has not happened.
Anna.
So I carry a lot of ancestral kind of weights, just like Bahati. I think that's like one reason why you and I connect. My grandmother came from an island that doesn't exist anymore because a hurricane wiped it off the map in the Caribbean. My other grandfather like walked out of the Savannah River swamp and built a business selling pig shit. No, I'm joking. As fertilizer, called a Mills Moneymaker. And I feared that I would fail them, and I'm gonna cry. And all the work that they did to put me here will be for nothing. And it hasn't happened yet. And I show up every day at Ishmael Interactive to make sure that it doesn't, because I really fear that I would fail them.
And yet you haven't.
I mean, they're still dead, so I'm sure that that's just made up.
Bahati.
Oh, something that I fear hasn't happened yet is
Something you feared would happen, but
Would
has
happen.
not. Yes.
that has not happened. Would happen that has not happened. I didn't I didn't have any fear about this thing because like I said, I've seen this before. And so yeah, I didn't carry any fear about it. So I don't really have an answer for that. So you can scratch this part out.
No, that's fair. That's a good answer.
Oh, no. That sounds like a very good answer. Do not skip that out. I wasn't afraid. I moved right on forward. That's wonderful. Go. We're moving now to the second section. I liked, I wish, I wonder. We have covered some of this a little bit already. So feel free to reference, I already covered this, and then we'll move on. You can skip because I know we're going for 15 minutes a section. I bet we could do 10 each with these at this point. We were very thorough in the first 15. I wish, something you wish you had gotten to do that now you're not going to be able to do. That's very close to our last question. But in the big picture, everybody, if you've got a sentence, what is something long-term you would hope to accomplish at GSA that is now off the board? Aaron, you first, please.
Real actual survey analysis. I used to get on a bully pulpit and talk about this all the time. There is 20 times the amount of material about how to write a survey than there is how to analyze a survey and keep a code book and get answers from it. And I was really hoping one day to help fix that imbalance.
Bahati.
Something I liked doing, well, first of all, I loved working with this team, dynamic team. I worked in spaces where I was often the only one doing design or innovation. And this team really yanked me along and reminded me that I was here to build relationships. And so um, I wanted to be around to really be that bridge for more relational um, progress around GSA and the work that we were doing.
And now that's just not the continuation. We were doing it. I wanted to keep doing it.
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. We're going to unpack that a little bit more in a minute. Anna, your turn.
Yeah, I first of all, yeah, you were like the true blue change management body. That was such a you were truly that bridge.
Something about your job, big picture, that you enjoyed and wish you had gotten to do that is now not going to happen.
Absolutely. I was going to 100x design in the federal government. They announced that new chief design officer role, and I was like, y'all are going the wrong direction because I already knew how to do this. I wrote it down in an article on Digital Gov. Um, I wrote the Human Centered Design Guide series. I finished it the day that we were no, like a week before we got riffed or something. Like I was like, I'm finishing it, and yeah, we were gonna actually do real design, not just call design like whatever it is when you argue about button color in the federal government. And no, I'll never get to do that. But yeah.
All right. This one's a little bit of a blue question here. What's something that got left behind that you wonder what happened to it? Let's go with Bahati first here. You look like you had an immediate answer there.
My people, like half of our team stayed behind and the math wasn't mathing. I was like, we were actually doing the work, but we love y'all. Good luck with that. But it just didn't make sense that half of our team stayed and the other half didn't.
I have to jump in here because I've forgotten that they stayed. For Truck's racist.
Huh?
Oh God, what's wrong with me? I was like,
That makes sense.
So as long as you're already on the board, Anna, what was something that got left behind before you remembered that it wasn't everybody that you wonder about?
I had totally anyway. Well, I guess that shows how important that was to me. Um, uh, the AI safety team. Oh my God, these people are so smart. I really, really in it like it was our team of really cool, smart people, and then it was the AI safety team. I was really like, oh, I want to hang out with you all. And yeah. So my answer is also people, our team, and the AI safety team.
Aaron.
I mean, after we've heard it twice, I kind of have to say people also. Um, uh, it's true, but what happened with everybody? What's everybody doing? All the work, is it still happening? We had just fantastic work. 10 different ways of measuring every website to guide investment. And I just don't know if it means anything or if it's in a black hole because it's all over a fence in a government office where I can't look at it. And it drives me crazy.
What is, since we got three of the same answers, we'll lightning round this again. One sentence. What's something you're mad about? Not that it happened, absent I got fired, which is never pleasant, but what that's going on is something that just kind of bothers you. Anna first.
I am very bothered by intentional cruelty and not just towards me, but towards everyone. And that really bothers me. And I think that, it is intentional cruelty in from a lot of folks. So that's what makes me
Bahati, I saw some church nods there. You want to add on to
Hey,
that?
my fan, correct. I agree with that. Intentional cruelty, the audacity to destroy things without the knowledge of the value of it.
I understand that. Aaron?
I would say the lack of opportunity. It's, you know, efficiency is a good goal. It's a noble goal. And I don't think there are any feds who would argue against that. But I think what they would argue against is an implementation that doesn't look as good as it could have.
All right, so I'm going to reframe this third section of the retro here because we've kind of covered this reflection. We've kind of covered what do you want to do in the future, and another I like, I wish, I wonder. So here's what I want to do right now. It is October 2nd. It is 2025. It is 4:47 p.m. Central Time. I want to jump 1 year in the future, just in your heads. It's 1 year further down the road, October 2nd, 2026. You can have whatever time of day you want. And I'm going to ask you the questions again. What you liked about the last year, what you wish had happened in the last year, and what you wonder if is possible in the future, henceforth from October 2026. Just take a minute and think about that. What's the next year hold for you if it's up to you? And now we're going to make the magic lines. And we just fast forwarded October 2nd, 2026. Aaron, what's been happening for you this past year that you're really pleased with?
This is the year Ishmael Interactive works. We get to actually choose where we're going to implement the good ideas, because good ideas can go anywhere at any time for many purposes. And, we were making this stuff work in a federal environment that is more confusing, more complex, more indescribable than most people can imagine. So it's something we can, quite frankly, take almost anywhere. And I would love to spend a year doing that.
I'm going to add a ground rule on the fly here. You can say me too or I agree, but then you have to add something else when we keep going. Anna, 1 year from now, what'd you like to?
Now I'm gonna say me too, but I'm going to add. So I finished this HTD guide series. I'm re-upping all of them into a third edition and adding new guidance, especially around AI use and things like that. So I'm really excited about that. In a year from now, we have an initiative that we haven't launched yet, but it's launching very soon called HCD in every library.
HCD, by the way, for those at home, I assume every viewer of the Ishmael Interactive podcast is aware that's human-centered design, but just in case, that is what those guides are speaking of. Bahati, October 2nd, 2026.
The world has shifted. The world has shifted, and Gen Z is on the rise to change things, and all the things that I've designed to support them, like my Betty coaching method, my Betty AI tool is available in communities and schools for therapists and counselors, and people are remembering who they are. They're taking their power back, and they're redesigning how we live in this country. And they're accessing the HTD guides at every library near you.
All right. So, October 2nd, 2026. For the next year, that's a year past the jump forward in time. What is the thing you want to accomplish with that time? What's your long range way out there? This is my distant target, Emerald City on the horizon. Bahati first.
Oh, I'm on a plane to Oprah's house in Maui.
I love it.
She wants to interview me about my book.
Aaron Myers.
So, as I've said before, I found Anna because Anna needed a project manager. And Alan, as the person who introduced Anna to Agile, you set a high standard because I've had to learn a lot. But part of my thing, what excites me about project management, is finding what people are good at and keeping them there. And that's the year where I want to take Ishmael Interactive and grow it to a point where we can start finding special people that we can put at places where they will be that special. That is the expansion time frame.
That's the distant goal. I like it a lot. Anna, take us home. What's the way out there, big picture goal?
The guides are in every library, and I'm getting to talk about them with C-suite professionalism. We're understanding that business intelligence and human-centered design and customer experience are one and the same. Don't get stuck in dashboards and don't get stuck in your feelings, but you always combine them and move forward.
All right, we have come up with a little bit of time left in this retro. So I'm going to throw in my favorite end of the retro question. Is anybody sitting there thinking, I can't believe we're not going to talk about?
That's a great question.
What do you mean we're not going to bring up? What do you mean nobody's going to say anything about?
Hmm.
I'll give you some time to think about this one.
I'm gonna say it. I can't believe we're not talking about Doge. I can't believe that that came and went, and I don't see the receipts. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Let me ask you for some clarity on that. When you say we, do you mean we four in this room, or do you mean this isn't a bigger story that Doge has come and gone?
The bigger story. Oh.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarity. Aaron, go ahead.
I Going back to Doge and how things like Doge happen and the implementation of it, I just can't believe we're not talking about the federal work at large more often. You know, all 800-pound gorilla in the room, we're in shutdown. God knows how long it's going to last. And the storytelling that needs to happen for the public to understand the scale of the issues and the fact that people are making progress on the world's hardest issues and the world's most complicated and intertwined problems at all is kind of a miracle, and it takes a lot of genius to make it happen.
Well, now I just agree with both of y'all. And you're right. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate everybody's candor. I think what I'm hearing from both of you there, I just want to make sure I caught it correctly, is I can't believe this isn't a bigger deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
I appreciate that. That's you're not alone in that thought. All right. If everybody is good, normally with a retro, I'd say, what are we going to work on from here? But it sounds like all of you have the things you are working on, and you are plenty busy enough without me making you narrow it down to two things. So I am going to hand the control stick back off to the three of you. Thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun. And I'm happy to do this again in 2026, and we'll compare the answers. Just mark October 2nd right now. And a pilot airplane.
Thank you so much, Alan. Thank you. Thank you.
A great
All
pleasure.
right, and you wanna take us home here?
Thank you, everybody. That was our latest edition of the CX Pod. Remember to go to ishmailinteractive.com and join our subscriber list and become an active listener. We will see you again next time.